2. The grain offering. Verse 1. When anyone offers a grain offering to the Lord, his offering shall be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil on it, and put frankincense on it. He shall bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests, one of whom shall take from it his handful of fine flour and oil with all the frankincense. And the priest shall burn it as a memorial on the altar, an offering made by fire, a sweet aroma to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is most holy of the offerings to the Lord made by fire. And if you bring as an offering a grain offering baked in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. But if your offering is a grain offering baked in a pan, it shall be of fine flour, unleavened, mixed with oil. You shall break it in pieces and pour oil on it. It is a grain offering. If your offering is a grain offering baked on a covered pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. You shall bring the grain offering that is made of these things to the Lord, and when it is presented to the priest, he shall bring it to the altar. Then the priest shall take from the grain offering a memorial portion and burn it on the altar. It is an offering made by fire, a sweet aroma to the Lord. And what is left of the grain offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is most holy of the offerings to the Lord made by fire. No grain offering which you bring to the Lord shall be made with leaven. For you shall burn no leaven nor any honey in any offering to the Lord made by fire. As for the offering of the first fruits, you shall offer them to the Lord, but they shall not be burned on the altar for a sweet aroma. And every offering of your grain offering you shall season with salt. You shall not allow the salt of the covenant of your God to be lacking from your grain offering. With all your offerings you shall offer salt. If you offer a grain offering of your first fruits to the Lord, you shall offer for the grain offering of your first fruits green heads of grain roasted on the fire, grain beaten from full heads, and you shall put oil on it, and lay frankincense on it. It is a grain offering. Then the priest shall burn the memorial portion, part of its beaten grain and part of its oil, with all the frankincense, as an offering made by fire to the Lord. So let's read the commentary here for Leviticus 2, an offering. Okay, so in verse 1 through 16, Leviticus doesn't specify when the Israelites... Okay. Excuse me, sorry about that. Leviticus doesn't specify when the Israelites were to bring a grain offering to the Lord at the tabernacle, except for the period known as first fruits at harvest time. These offerings provided a way for the people of Israel to recognize and confess their dependence on God for their food and their very lives. We learn from Numbers 28 that these offerings were like the burnt offering, to be made every morning and at twilight. The grain offerings were the only bloodless sacrifices, but they were still holy to the Lord. They were to be free of yeast or honey. These could be offered as first fruits, but not offered on the altar. We know from the passage of Scripture that yeast was often used as a symbol of sin. See 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8. Most of the chapter deals with the various elements that could be offered and various ways the priest could prepare a grain offering. The portion to be offered to God included these instructions. The priest will take a handful of fine flour and oil from it, along with all its frankincense, and will burn this memorial portion of it on the altar, a food offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The incense increased the fragrance of the aroma that would rise. The remainder of the offerings, the holiest part, belonged to Aaron and his sons. In payment for their ministry, the consecrated priests were allowed to eat these offerings. Sorry about that. All of the grain offerings were to include the salt of the covenant with your God. Salt was a symbol of permanence. It was something that the ancients believed could not be destroyed even by fire. The concept of a covenant of salt appears in Numbers 18 verse 19 and in 2 Chronicles 13 verse 5, the latter referring to the permanence of God's covenant with David to establish his throne. to establish his throne forever. This covenant will be fulfilled when Jesus takes the throne of David at his second coming and rules in his millennial kingdom. And that is Leviticus 2. Stay tuned for Leviticus 3.